Gird your loins. The right is still on the DEI Warpath. This is the focus group.
They're all business, except when they're not. It's the focus group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Welcome to the focus group. John Nash here with my very good friend, Mr. Tim Bennett.
Hello.
Focusgroupradio.com is our URL for our website. You could visit us there and check out our other podcast, TFG Unbuttoned, which drops on Tuesdays. It's 3 stories that we curate for you. We'd like to think it's news that you might not have seen, but once you hear our show, you'll know all about it. Here on Focus Group, though, you can see the video of our show on Wednesdays. That's on YouTube or Facebook. And of course, it drops into your audio feed of choice. And as Tim says, always like and rate us. Is that our?
Like and follow.
Like and follow. Thank you.
Yeah. It's free, so there's no subscribe. So it's like and follow.
Tim, did you happen to watch the Golden Globes at all?
I just turned it off. I had it on briefly. And I couldn't stand the chatter. And even at one point I said, just give out the friggin' award. Yeah. Even the people that came out went on and on. The show could be a half hour. And why they drag it out. They do all that with these award shows, but I just thought there was too much chatter. And so I turned it off and I went over and watched old reruns of Shark Tank. What did you watch?
Well, we didn't watch that. We were watching DVDs of Little Britain. I guess Little Britain was 2003, and we were laughing at the fact that they could never make this today.
No.
And we love it.
Or AbFab, probably.
And then Bob's kind of got me hooked on a show with Gene Smart called Hacks.
Yeah, Hacks. Everybody loves that. Yeah.
So I saw season 1, kind of dropped off. He got me to go on to season 2, and I'm now really engaged. And I think it's a very entertaining show. I like it.
Have you watched the hockey drama yet?
We have it on the list. Yeah, Heated Rivalry. It's on the list. But, I got to tell you, I don't know if you're like me. If everybody in the world is telling you to watch something, I don't want to watch it. And I know that sounds stupid, but if you got to see this, you got to see, I'm like, okay, I'll see it someday. Are you the same way?
I never saw Oppenheimer. Remember, Oppenheimer was the big thing.
Neither
did you ever see? No, I didn't see it. And I didn't see. I tried watching Barbie because it was all over. Did you watch Barbie?
Yes, we actually liked it. We waited forever, by the way.
Yeah. But this Heated Rivalry, I've had a number of people tell me, "Oh, you got to watch it. Well, I eliminated. I don't know if you probably will notice soon with a business account. So I got rid of HBO, which I probably should have. I like HBO, but I wasn't watching. I went through on this tear. It's clean, the John Nash cleanse. I got rid of that. I got rid of Apple TV. I got rid of Apple Music. So that was $22. I got rid of my iPad cellular service. That was $15.
You can now use Hotspot, your phone, right?
Yeah. So my phone went from $106 to $99 for the next 18 months, which is fantastic. At Visible is the company I'm using, which is actually a Verizon carrier. Yep. But very easy, 5 minutes to do. And I just kicked myself for not doing it or waiting so long to do it. And then I got rid of some more subscriptions, but I added it all up. I got rid of Hulu, and I've kept Netflix, and I get Amazon Prime because of Prime. But
and then we figured out that little hack to get the New York Times for $4 a month.
Yep, I did that, and then I went through, and I figured out that I was saving. I think it was 12, 26, 48, 60, 72. It's like $720 a year. When I added it all up, it's about $720 in subscriptions that I wasn't really using. So I like the idea of having Apple TV. I just never, and Apple Music. It included Apple Music. I did it for my music. As you know, I've had a hate relationship with what they did with iTunes. They've ruined iTunes.
Yeah.
And there's no place for my music. And I have all this music I bought, and I feel... I bought it just like you would buy a CD or something, right? Or you buy a disc, but I don't really own it now because you can't access some of it, or it's just a pain in the ass. Yeah. So I've been using Amazon Music, which has been far better.
You've been pretty happy with that, right?
Far, far better than iTunes. Now, I will say there are sometimes things I can't find or remixes that iTunes will have, but generally the interface at Amazon is simple. And that's what
I agree.
iTunes used to be. iTunes used to be simple, and they made it overly complicated. It's impossible to find your music that I have on there. Anyway, I'm rambling.
Amazon Music, when I use it, reminds me of the good old days of a plain old MP3 player.
Yep.
Right?
Click and play.
You do the search bar. Maybe you're looking for the B-52s, you're looking for Madonna, whatever. Comes up what they have. You click it, and I told Tim last week, and if you've listened to the show for a number of years, you know, like I'm a Mac guy through and through. And I had to eventually upgrade my MacBook to OS Tahoe, which is the newest OS. It reboots, it starts up, and I'm like, what am I looking at? Like all these rounded corners, and everything was where it was sort of supposed to be. And then I opened iTunes, and I was on the phone with Tim when this happened. And I said, oh my God, Tim, I just opened iTunes. I don't know why you bothered. It's a mess.
Well, I updated the iPhone, and that thing, they have this crystal or what's it called? Glass.
Liquid. They call it liquid something. Did you really do your phone?
Yeah, it's so aggravating. And I went on to try to find all these workarounds to try to get the screen. Late at night, I'll tap the screen if I'm sleeping. You roll over and you see what time. You just hit the screen. Yeah. Now it's almost graded out like a shadow, instead of just having the white 3:15, a.m. So but again, I don't know if this is job security. Somebody has to keep saying we're going to update. But on some of this stuff, you don't need to update so much, in my opinion.
No,
that's Apple. So I'm wondering if there's not a TV yet. Weren't they coming out with their own TV, their own hardware? Apple.
There had been a thought about that. And then that got scrapped, and now it's just the Apple TV, the little box you get, what they call it, over the top, whatever.
Because they scrapped the car too. They were coming out with a car, and they scrapped that as well. But
they did, but there's a rumor that that's still kind of floating around. Did you have to upgrade your to OS 26 for the phone?
I had to. Yeah, they had to go to the most up to date system. What do you call it?
This may interest you, but Macworld magazine just reported that OS 26, the one you just upgraded to, is the least upgraded software they've ever released. I think it was 65 or 70% of iPhone owners have not even touched it yet. And it's all because of this thing called liquid glass, I think it's called liquid glass. People just don't like it. And the journalist who wrote the piece. Yeah. And the journalist who wrote the piece was like, okay, so you have to change everything every couple of years. Why not just leave it the same? Like you just said.
Yeah, there's a familiarity with it that you would think most places do that. There's nothing wrong with the elegance and the simplicity of some of the Apple products, but it does become frustrating because, as you noted,
I agree.
When iTunes first came out 20 years ago, I don't even know how long it was now, though. And I remember you introducing it to me, and it was such a great way to share music. And back then, they actually let you share it with people.
That's right.
Which they put the brakes on soon. So I have 4 different versions of iPods, PODS, with music on them that I can't plug in because it will wipe them out. So, but they're almost not usable because they could update.
Mm-hmm.
So I have mixes you had given me. I have discs that you had downloaded for me, but I don't know. Eventually, these things, I guess, just won't work. I found my old Bose player and I plugged them in, and I was listening to some of the music. But it's a time capsule now.
You are absolutely right about the old iPods. Since they use a mechanical hard drive, an actual spinning platter inside the iPod, they will freeze at some point. It's called stiction. I think that's a name they use when these things happen, but it will literally just not rotate and it will be dead. Like I found my spin wheel, like
and
a
then
black
what, you throw
iPod.
It away?
I've saved it because I just have fond memories of when these things came out. I mean, you could hold your whole music library in something the size of a pack of cards, right? I mean, it was amazing back then.
Yeah, now it's your phone, I suppose. Yeah,
it is, or it's exactly what you're doing with Amazon Music. You're streaming it and pulling it in. And I think you're using the Amazon account very smartly, by the way, to do Amazon Music.
Yeah, I'm doing the music, and I don't order a lot out of Amazon, but it's almost you're forced to. I know a lot of people don't like Amazon, but there's certain things I just can't get anywhere else.
Agreed.
Deodorant
Agreed.
was one thing. I couldn't find deodorant. I could either go directly to one of the big box stores or just Amazon click. And so, yeah.
I bought our favorite deodorant, which I think I got from Canada. It was the Old Spice High Endurance.
You found
original. I did. It was a 4-pack. I couldn't find it in the U.S. And Tim actually turned me onto that deodorant. I want to say, Tim, it was way back in the Subaru days. And you're like, Nash, you got to try this. It smells good. It's going to work. And then during the pandemic, we switched to
Harry's.
Because
you couldn't find it.
find.
Yeah.
Did you? Was your scent Stone?
I liked Fig, which
That's
is
what it
hard to
was.
find, and the Fig one is great. And there's a couple of other ones I have not smelled, quote unquote. And then we had Mando, and of course we had Mando as a sponsor for a little while. What I'm upset with Harry's is it used to be easy to find in the store because they did a baby blue packaging.
Yep.
They've
Not
now
anymore.
gone.
They
They've now
changed.
gone to this royal blue color, whatever, that just blends in with everything else. What a mistake! It doesn't stand out now. I don't know why they would have done that.
It's funny you bring that up because I used to have a friend who worked for Landor, which was a big branding company here in New York City. And one time he showed me the fake grocery store aisle they had set up. They were working on a Maxwell House rebrand. They had row after row of Maxwell House packaging, and each shade of blue was slightly different. And they'd have test shoppers come in, and they finally picked the blue they'd go with. But you'd think they would actually do a fake aisle for men's grooming products, right?
Yeah, they've actually, it's almost the same identical color as what Gillette uses, the Gillette blue.
Yep.
Gillette does the blue and gray. And no, you're right. And Old Spice sticks out because it's red. So there was the red. Yeah. But the light blue used to stand out, and now it just doesn't. And but the only place I can find this deodorant now, at least in the stores down here where I am and down in lower Delaware, is getting them online. I buy it online. So
I'm with you there. All right. The way our show works, we do what we just did. We catch up a little bit. We call it our banter section. We have a segment called Caught Our Eye, where Tim and I bring articles to each other's attention. It's unique because I think once in our career, we actually had the same article because we don't know what we're doing with each other. We're going to take a quick break, and then we have a Shop Talk focus group on, as I said at the top of the show. Gird your loins. The far right is still gunning for DEI. But in the meantime, Mr. Bennett, what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
So have you heard of Baba Vanga? It's like Baba Ganoush or something. Baba Vanga. Do you know her? She's a clairvoyant, Joan. She's
Oh. By the way, everybody, Tim has I do too, have a fascination with people who predict the future.
Yeah, because we all can do it.
We've got great stories. But anyway.
You can do it, John. You can predict something that's going to happen in 6030. Who's going to prove you wrong? So Baba Vanga is doing just this. She's dead now, but she's a blind Bulgarian mystic. She died in 1996 at age 85, and she predicted some of humanity's first ever encounters with extraterrestrial life. Or she's predicted that our encounter is happening this year, November 26th. You've got time. November 2026. She predicted.
Did she point out where it's going to happen?
Well, she did, and she was wrong. She was supposed to happen last year. It's moved on now to November 2026. But she actually predicted, they said correctly, or she foresaw or foreseen events such as 9/11, the COVID-19 pandemic, and she's predicted alien visitors and outbreak of World War III for this year. That's just this year. So she's warned that a colossal alien spacecraft is going to enter Earth's atmosphere. She didn't elaborate on their intentions or anything, but she did say that this is going to happen. She initially last year thought it would happen at a sporting event. They were going to make themselves known at a sporting event, but we missed that. That was 2025. She said this prediction has taken on added intrigue for some believers amid an uptick in reported. We don't call them UFOs anymore, John. They're UAPs. Unidentified anomalous phenomena. Yeah, UAPs. Sightings over the past decade and continued speculation surrounding Atlas and 3I Atlas surrounding an object that's lingering in the solar system, and it's fueled debate over whether that's an interstellar comet or something more unusual. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have. And you are correct. There's a lot of speculation that it's some kind of object that's come through the solar system on a certain trajectory. An object did this a few years ago, and people were very. It was like, well, it's like a big cigar-shaped asteroid type thing, the previous one, but they don't. I would love to believe. Well, continue.
Well, they think the octopus came from outer space. I don't know if you know that. Alien life living in the ocean. Yeah, I've been reading a lot about the octopus. So
they're very unique creatures.
Oh, yes.
They're smart.
And they think they've come from outer space. And they're living. And there might be a whole world we don't know in the ocean. We've not explored the ocean.
Oh, I don't doubt that. What's the statistic? We only know about 10% of what we know about the ocean. The rest is...
or less, yeah.
Yeah.
So they said among her most ominous forecasts was a warning that World War III would erupt in 2026. And of course, people are thinking with China and Taiwan and what's going on with Ukraine and so forth, that may happen. However, she's also predicted, John, that the world is going to come to an end in 5079. It's going to be a potentially catastrophic war. Oh, no, it's if the world comes to an end, it's going to be, that's it. But so she warned that society is at a breaking point, and we finally realized that with technology, we might have gone too far. I don't disagree with that.
I don't disagree either. Yeah.
So she said that she's known as the Nostradamus of the Balkans. And beyond her forecast, she's also predicted that artificial organs could enter mass production as early as 2046. And she's also forecast some very good breakthroughs with cancer, particularly with detection and catching it early. If you see the picture of her, she's babushka.
Is that her on the graphic?
Yeah, it's her in the Balkans with no eyes. Yeah, no eyes. So she has this timeline that she put together, and I'll just go through this very quickly. So 2028, humans will begin to explore Venus as an energy source. We're going to Venus. That's a couple years.
Okay, hold the pause button for a second. Landing on Venus would be quite hard. The pressure...
Is that a gas giant?
No, it's a planet, but the pressure in the atmosphere would crush a spacecraft and potentially kill a person. But anyway, we're going to go get energy. Okay.
2028, that's quick. 2033, the polar ice caps will melt. She said it's going to raise sea levels to drastic heights. That's 7 years from now. Communism will spread across the world 2076. A drought's going to devastate much of the world in 2170. That's 144 years. Now, that's plausible, right? It could be a drought that devastates us.
But if the ice caps melt and there's more water, well, anyway, okay.
No, I'm just telling you. This is why I think we can be predictors. 3005. 3005, the Earth is going to go to war with a civilization on Mars. I guess someone else is going to go to Mars and we're all going to fight them. By 3797, humans will have to vacate the Earth. It's because we've made it uninhabitable. So this is in about 1,771 years. We're going to have to leave the Earth.
That might happen sooner.
Right. And then 5079, the world will end. Okay. And they said, while some of her prophecies appear terrifying, her track record's pretty spotless. Although one of her last predictions were wildly off base, she claimed that, and I don't know, this one to me doesn't seem too off base. She claimed that Barack Obama would be our last U.S. president elected. Well, of course, we've had Biden, but you understand. I mean, it's, anyway, she's not far off on that one. And that World War III she thought would kick off in 2010. She was off on that. She also suggested aliens would announce their arrival. I told you this. We're going to disrupt a major sporting event in 2025. That one did not. That one failed to happen. So, but anyway, Baba Vanga has. She's predicting for this year. She's predicting a visit from aliens in the outbreak of World War III. But it's not going to ruin the Earth. We've got about 1,700 years before that. So this won't be devastating.
We'll be long dead.
Yeah, it's not going to be devastating, this World War.
I do want to be around for the alien visitation, though.
Oh, I do too. I am convinced that there's got to be life somewhere else, right? It's just whether you can get to it.
Correct.
Or whether you can get to
Tim,
us.
good point. Yeah.
But, when they do these things about, what is that, the Goldilocks zone where there would be planets just like Earth that would have life. Yep. But it would take 3,000 years to get there in a spaceship or something. I mean, I forget what the number. Yeah. So, but
unless we develop Star Trek warp drive, we're not going anywhere. Yeah.
Is that what a black hole, though? As they say, there's no time, you can go through it. Boom.
Well, if you could make it through a black hole, I guess you could end up somewhere, but the pressure inside a dead star would, again, crush you and kill you.
Do you know anything about quantum physics?
Yes.
My neighbor's she studies it every day, 87 years old. She's a big quantum physics person. I try to quiz her about it, and she just shakes her head at me because I'm too simple. But
ask her, next time you talk to her, ask her what she thinks of the latest theories about the quantum universe and how we actually may be manifestations of our consciousness. They now thinking is a manifestation of quantum realities in physics. It's kind of a crazy, but there's something called quantum entanglement. Have you heard of this?
No, what is that?
It's two particles that exist in different parts of the universe, but they exist simultaneously, and they could actually communicate with each other. It's just,
so what does that mean in layman's terms when you say that? So if you had you having a thought, is that a vibration or something?
Well, in terms of consciousness being arising from the quantum universe, then it becomes the chicken and the egg. Did the thought come from the universe, or are you having it independently? That's an interesting one. But there are a lot of people who study this, and I get lost. I'm a sci guy, but sometimes I just finally understood quantum entanglement because it was explained in a good article with little pictures.
Well, there's lots of YouTube. There's lots of YouTube videos about explanations of these things, and I've tried watching them, and I get lost,
glazed over.
No, I really do try to listen, and I'll rewind, but I just don't grasp it. Lots of it's about vibration. Exactly what you said. There could be two thoughts at opposite ends of the earth. But how does that happen? And it's all about wavelength and vibration, and then I get lost. Anyway, I just was wondering if you knew about it. Next time you visit, you'll have to have a chat with her.
Oh, I'm dying. I am definitely dying. And I love her anyway, so it would be great to see her.
Yeah.
On a completely different consumerist nostalgia vibe, Tim went I love the predictions. I loved the woman you picked. And of course, I'm saying hello to the aliens. I want them to come. Yeah. Bob's mom does too. Bob's mom, like, please, if you're here, come and take us away. Mine is a little bit different, and it involves an old-fashioned landline and a telephone. So a tech founder named Kat Gates, who goes by Kat GPT on social media, wanted to swap her smartphone for something more low-tech. And I love this quote that she says, "I was kind of just sitting around thinking, it'd be so cute if we still had landline phones. You could just twirl the cord and talk with your friends." That just felt nostalgic and chic to me. I got hooked on that quote because do you remember all the times you were on the phone attached to the wall and you'd have that long cord, you could walk around the house.
Oh, that was a big deal if you had a long cord. That was big.
Huge. So looking into it, she didn't realize getting a landline for her apartment would require getting a new number and paying for a phone line. They don't do landlines anymore. So the 20-something zillennial, they call her, built her own version from a phone she thrifted. I literally just hijacked a landline phone and made it a Bluetooth compatible device. So she took an old rotary phone, she put some hardware in it, and now the phone can talk to her iPhone, but she could actually use the rotary phone to make and receive calls. She then decided to share this with a bunch of people. So she uses this for a while. She unveiled it after 2 years. And then she said, I'm going to share it with a few people. Maybe I'll sell 20 or 30. Well, she called the business Physical Phones. It's passed 120,000 in sales in just 3 days. Wow. And it's sold over 3,000 units and made her more than $250,000 in sales. She partnered with an electronics firm to do the actual manufacturing, and she did 3 versions of the phone. Now, if you go to physicalphones.com, you'll see them. There's a standard old rotary phone, which you might see from a 1930s or 40s movie, you know, the way the handset set up on the thing, and then there's the dial. Then she did the princess phone. Remember the princess phone?
Yep.
And then she did a wall phone. And all of them are the same. They have a rechargeable battery. They're Bluetooth. once you pair your phone with it, you could even pick up the phone and say, Siri, call Tim. I'm just, they range from $90 to $110. And there's a variety of colors. The first batch dropped in December and they're already sold out. That was the rotary phone. You could still order the Princess phone and the wall phone, and they will drop in February and March. The rotary phone comes back in March, but I just think this is one of those funny ideas. Now, I know that you and I always say, oh, we should have had this idea. It's a cute thing, though. Like does the fact that she's sitting around thinking, oh, I would like to just twirl the cord. And in 10 or 15 years or even 6 years, there are people who will never have that idea because they never experienced a phone connected to the wall, right?
It sounds like something your Bob would have come up with.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But there is something to be said about holding the receiver, because you could always hold it like this, or it's more comfortable than holding a phone. Because sometimes the phone microphones or speakers, because against your face, get blurry or hard to hear. Do you still have a landline in any of your places? No. My mom still does.
We saved our number. My mom's phone number is technically a landline, but it's not really the copper that we're used to coming into the house, into the phone. We saved our phone number. But she still has it. But she probably has a wireless phone. But it's through the landline, right? I think so. Yeah. And our phone in the city, we saved our 212 number, and I now have that going to a cell phone. But one of the reasons this woman, Kat, developed this was also that she wanted to reduce screen time. And she said that in one part of the article, she said, you can now make a phone call using earbuds like Tim and I are wearing right now. And you could talk, but you could also scroll and do other things on the phone at the same time. She said, when you were back in the day, when the call came in, you didn't know who it was. Yeah. Caller ID remember when caller ID came out? It was so weird. But you had to pick it up, you had to answer it, and you were on the phone. That's what you were doing. You weren't scrolling, tapping, you were on the phone because you're holding the receiver. I'm almost tempted to buy one of these, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. But
visit. So again, I would visit. I went there and I looked. It's a cute little site. It's her modeling the phones, but it's called physicalphones.com.
And they're what, $90 you said? Or 90?
90 to 110. I think the Princess is 110 and the wall phone is. The rotary was 90. And they look well made. And again, it's iOS, so iPhone and Android could use it. I just thought, okay, I love the idea.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. Good find.
All right, now we have, and I forgot to mention this at the top of the show, but it's a big part of our show because it's what we call the signature segment. We're well known for this because of all the work Tim does, but it's time for our business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
I think we might, although I looked in our archives and I didn't find this, but I think we've talked about him before. Maybe it was his business partner. But Mark Leo Goodson, born January 14th, 1915. He died at 77 in 1992, an American television producer. You know him best as somebody who specialized in game shows and was most frequently announced or credited with his business partner, Bill Todman. And they created the Goodson Todman Productions. So he was born, as I said, January 14th, 1915 in Sacramento, California. His parents had emigrated here from Russia. And he had gone to the University of California, Berkeley, initially to be an attorney and did really well. And while he was going to school, he worked in a fish market, graduated Phi Beta Kappa with a degree in economics, was going to go off to be an attorney, but ended up getting a gig broadcasting in San Francisco as a disc jockey at one of the stations there, which is now KFAX, KFAX. And then he joined another radio station. And while he was there, he put together programming and developed this radio quiz program called Pop the Question. And in this quiz program, they had contestants would select questions by throwing darts at balloons. And so if you hit the balloon, then whatever the question was in there, that was what you answered, and then you'd win a prize.
Tim, wait. A dart that hit a blown up balloon?
There was a bunch of blown up colored balloons on a board. Okay. So it was called Pop the Question. And then
good one.
You know, how simple is it, right?
Uh-huh.
So he ended up meeting he ended up meeting Bill Todman, and they produced these long-running game shows. And they said some of the most well-known game shows in television history, and one of the largest audiences for game shows. And they said they were clean, they were easy, they were smart. Everybody could play along with them. And they said their first television show was Winner Take All, which debuted on CBS in 1948. But you'll recognize some of the other productions: The Price is Right, Family Feud, Concentration, Match Game, Password, Beat the Clock, To Tell the Truth, which was Goodson's personal favorite, I've Got a Secret, What's My Line, Card Sharks, Blockbuster, Tattletales. I didn't like Tattletales.
Neither did I.
Tattletales. And then, of course, the shows ended up being syndicated not only to Canada and Mexico, but across the world. And the shows had endured for decades and over multiple runs. They said that Goodson had a very sharp eye for production and presentation. And they had a strict insistence on maintaining clean, honest contests, which back in the 50s, everybody knows there were these scandals around game shows. And so they were very big on making sure that their shows were clean and honest, quote, I'll put in quotes. Todman oversaw the company's business outside of TV. And but Goodson handled Mark Goodson handled all the creative aspects of producing the game shows. And the company also decided that maybe, here they go, with creep, right, mission creep, that they were going to produce other sorts of TV programs, which were all flops. So they had an anthology of dramas called The Web, The Richard Boone Show, and a talk variety show with Don Rickles. And they said, and their biggest failure was a sitcom called One Happy Family, which came out in the 50s. They also did a Western called three Westerns, Jefferson Drum, something called The Rebel, and something called Branded. Neither of them did well either. The company was headquartered, John, at 375 Park Avenue, the Seagram building.
Oh my God.
That's where,
I know. Yep.
And that's where most of the production took place in New York City for all of these game shows until the 70s, when they started moving game shows to Hollywood. And Password was one of the first to move in 71. And the last New York produced show was a 1980s version of To Tell the Truth. But they still have the offices, and they still use the offices in New York City to do auditions for contestants. They said after his death, so after Todman had died, Goodson acquired all of the shares of the company. But when Goodson died, the family could not afford paying off the massive inheritance tax. So all the money, so there was a huge inheritance tax based upon owning all the rights and royalties of these shows and whatever. And so the family sold off all the rights to all the shows other than Concentration. They kept Concentration, but everything else they sold off to a bunch of other holding companies. And even though they still get credited with the Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production, Fremantle Media owns a lot of it now. So they said if you watch Buzzer or you watch any of these game show networks, even though the graphic will say Mark Goodson because they're reruns on a lot of these, but they're Fremantle Productions is a company that bought these programs. They said some of the shows that made it, Family Feud, for instance, was known in the UK when these shows went overseas as Family Fortunes. Card Sharks went under the title of Play Your Cards Right in the UK. In Germany, Match Game was known as Schnick Schnack, which was loosely translated as Something Anything. In the UK, Match Game was known as Blankety Blank. In Australia, it was Blankety Blanks. And then they also had, it's known Blankety Blanks. And there was another game show in the US they were going to do actually called Blankety Blanks, but it never took off. So anyway, that was kind of Mark Goodson's story. You know, he was going to be an attorney, ended up doing this gig as a DJ, did a game, got the game show bug, and then teamed up with Todman. And I think every single one of us knows these. Knows these
at least
shows.
5 game shows, right? So, Tim, I think you're right. We did, in fact, profile Bill Todman many years ago. Because when you sent the grid of the game shows over, I recognized the grid, but I didn't recognize Mark Goodson's face.
Yeah.
So I think we did Bill Todman once. And, you know, the thing you said earlier about the company, well, I guess diversifying, Tim always likes to say, and so does Richard, by the way, stay in your lane, right?
Stay in your lane. Yeah.
Know what you're doing.
The Price is Right has run continuously since 72, Family Feud since 76, and Password has also been just recently revived, as has Match Game, but they're not as good. Any of these, I don't know if you've seen these revivals on late night TV, and they're just not the same, like Pyramid, or they've done Match Game or whatever, but you're not going to beat Gene Rayburn and Charles Nelson Riley and Brett Summers, right? And Richard Dawson, that whole, remember he would kiss everybody?
There was something you and I did years ago, caught our eye about, like some kind of thing you had to sign when you went on Family Feud that you would not sue if you got sick from Richard Dawson kissing you or something. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he kissed, you go right down the line, kiss everybody, then go on the other side and kiss everybody.
Yep.
On the lips.
Good business birthday.
There is a show, just as a sidebar, with Richard Dawson. He ended up marrying one of his, he was married to Diana Dors, who was a singer from the 50s and 60s.
You introduced me to her, actually.
Right. And that was his first wife. And then they divorced, and he met a contestant on Family Feud. Family Feud. He met a contestant, and they ended up getting married. He started flirting with her on the show and then asked her out on a date. And I think it was somewhere online. I actually looked at it and watched his first interaction because somebody has found the show, and they did the whole thing, and they said this was his future wife. And then you can really watch it and see how he was kind of smitten with this woman. But there you go. So, hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do our focus group shop talk. So stay with us.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Now back to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Available pretty much everywhere.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. Focusgroupradio.com is the website. And now we are having what we call our Shop Talk Focus Group.
Now it's time for a Shop Talk Focus Group.
Or when I asked the AI to do a Japanese version, I expected it to translate it to Japanese, but this is what I got.
Now it's time for a Shop Talk Focus Group.
And as Tim said last week, you'd think it could come up with something worse than a horrible stereotype, right?
Yeah.
So the shop talk this week that we're going to focus group this article is the headline in Reuters had this to say: exclusive, corporate America faces DEI reckoning in 2026, EEOC chair says. The EEOC is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And the chair is a woman who was installed recently by the Trump administration. Her name is Andrea Lucas. And she said that companies that factor race, sex, or other protected characteristics into employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act could face enforcement actions or litigation. She confirmed that inquiries are in progress and warned that initiatives tied to hiring, promotion, or marketing may come under scrutiny. Lucas declined to share which companies are facing scrutiny. Later in the article, she also says something about advertising. That first part there about companies that do marketing, I was like, maybe she's talking about job fairs and about recruitment. Right. But then later on, she says something about going after, here we go. Lucas told Reuters that enforcement may target a host of initiatives companies have deployed to create, cater to, or advertise to any race or gender-based group, including employee resource groups designed to be safe spaces where employees can speak candidly. And basically, in a nutshell, she's bringing to civil rights a conservative point of view. So if you were of the opinion that this administration, we just had to survive 4 years, I don't know what things are going to look like at the end of this term, because as Tim said when we were coming back from break, this article is scary. I mean, because now they're basically policing, or she's threatening to police corporations for talking to their consumers. I mean, maybe it's just about the hiring, but it sounds like she's going to scrutinize anything they do. So if you have a product that sells very well within the African-American community, let's say,
yeah,
would the company get a ding if they were doing ads that featured African-American people because that's who's buying the product? I mean, it's sort of weird. And I take that back. It's not weird. It's scary, and it's very directed. And it seems like for years, these people have had grudges against like advertising or employee resource groups. How does this affect people's lives is what I want to know, right?
Yeah, well, you said her goal is to shift to a conservative view of civil rights based upon what Trump told her to do. And I'll read this again. As John said, Lucas told Reuters, enforcement may target a host of initiatives companies have deployed to create, cater to, or advertise to any race or gender-based group. So any race could be, you've got a campaign for Hispanic Americans, or you've done one to women, or you've done one for aging population. I mean, these are all protected classes, right?
Yep.
Or gender-based groups. And so my guess is this LGBTQ would fall under this as well. It's scary because as much as they're faulting companies and they don't want companies to be politically involved or to take a stand politically against one party or another. And most businesses, as we know, play both sides off the middle, right? Because you don't know who's going to be in power. So you donate to Republican candidates, you donate to Democratic candidates. But generally, companies are a bit agnostic and understand they need a diverse workforce to sell their products and or service the communities they live in. They know better than we do, or the government does, who's buying their products. This is a mandate from the government to say, because she says later on in this article that she feels white men have been discriminated against in the workplace by DEI programs, and she's encouraging people to actually submit complaints to her. And she said anybody, she's not being fooled, John, by any company that has decided to change the way they talk about this.
Yeah,
so
we
know a number of companies that got rid of the word DEI or calling it belonging. Or somebody has said EO. I haven't heard that one yet. But
employment opportunity, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the EO is. But it says it doesn't matter if you call it DEI or belonging or EO or anything. If it functions like that, it's illegal. And so she talked about a few companies. Target, Walmart, and Amazon have already they said scrapped a lot of these initiatives. I'll be curious. You and I have worked with a number of these larger companies, and they have changed to saying belonging or inclusion. Maybe they're just using. I don't know, but we'll see. They've taken diversity out, but we'll see if they're backing off of this. It does not bode well for people like you and I who have worked with.
Our business was in that space, basically.
Right, reaching underserved audiences, and underserved
But
consumers.
You referenced something from the article that's the real core of the article. Everything else you could forget about except that one bit about how white men in particular, have somehow been damaged by the DEI initiatives. And, if we're being completely honest, Tim and I have had conversations with many executives, especially in the marketing world, who talk about that very thing, where possibly DEI went too far in one direction, where a qualified candidate who happens to be white is passed over because a candidate who is maybe equally qualified, who happens to be of a certain race, is hired instead, and boom, right there you got a grievance, right? I don't know how you police this, and I'm not sure if you're a corporation. Well, here's what I think. If I was a CEO, I might actually walk away from all of it, because who wants to deal with litigation, fighting the government, having a subpoena delivered to your company about something as simple as I can talk to my clients. And if you go back to the Supreme Court decision about Citizens United, where basically organizations and money have rights, how are you telling us that we can't talk to a consumer when you could tell?
Right.
Yeah. It's,
No, you're exactly right. If you were in leadership or marketing leadership right now, you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to deal with the aggravation of it, because it may be the right thing to do, and it may be the right thing for your organization to do, and we would agree it is. But if you're getting bombarded with this and threats and litigation, that's the Trump way. You litigate because you can, and you just do it, and it just costs people money and aggravation. It's like he never pays his bills, so he'll constantly just litigate something until you do something different. What I thought about this in the end, and maybe it's too soon, although I'll take a hit at him. Where's the NGLCC in this? Where's the HRC in any of this?
Where's the
GLAAD,
the National Chamber of Commerce,
Gay and Lesbian Chamber, right? The NGLCC, even GLAAD, who has gone out of their lane, going from media to whatever Sarah Kate is whim of the week is. But where are all of them? These hundreds of thousands of dollars that are donated to them by the LGBTQ community and allies, and other than paying their big salaries and taking care of their buildings, where are they on this? I haven't heard a peep. Have you?
No, and I want to say it's fear, but I'm not even sure it's that, because you still have a voice. And I would say, Tim, it even goes beyond the NGLCC, which is the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. How about just the National Chamber of Commerce? It doesn't even have to be NGLCC. Right. Like, so when Tim and I used to do some consulting work for Procter & Gamble, and we had some interesting data we looked at about some products. I think it was a laundry detergent you and I were looking at that was preferred by African Americans versus a different brand that they owned.
Gain was preferred. Yeah.
And then there was Tide. And so different people buy different things, right? And when you're in marketing, you do the research, you figure out who your consumer is, you see why they're doing it, and you speak to them on a one-to-one level through your advertising to either continue their allegiance to the brand or to bring them on board. Does this mean that if P&G does an ad for Gain that features a black couple doing laundry or taking care of the kids or something, that suddenly that's, you're in violation because you're talking to a protected class or an ethnic group? I mean, it sounds like they've been given carte blanche to do whatever they damn well please, right?
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. There are certain products that certain either men, women, African Americans, Hispanic, they prefer products. Now, the issue John brings up with Gain, and a lot of the studies that Procter & Gamble did, it was based on the scent and how the scent was. And but that same product, other groups were interested in for its maybe it didn't suds up as enough, so it was better in the water where they lived or something. There could have been any number of reasons why somebody liked the product, but you're right.
Cascade versus finish or whatever.
Right, right. And then you market to that strength, and you market to the community that's most likely to buy that product or that are fans of that product. But that's just basic marketing. If you know who buys your product and you talk to them, at least that's what you should be doing. So this to me is just shocking. I don't know how far this goes. I don't know if this is just this Andrea Lucas at the EEOC making noise, or she's really going to go after people. I was curious after I read this. I haven't done it yet. But to go look at some of these larger, the Fortune 10 or Fortune 50 companies, to see if they actually have started changing. Because they have had pages for, they all have some sort of employment page or DEI page or something. And we'll see if they've changed them. They even have executives, senior leadership that takes care of these programs. I wonder if those people will lose their jobs.
There's a good chance that they'll either be reassigned, they'll have a new title, something that's innocuous. Tim, years ago, I saw Bill Clinton speak at the Columbus Circle. It was for the upfronts for TV Land. He was somehow invited to talk, and he was asked some questions, and this is going back quite a ways, but he said, it never fails, but when the far right gets in the driver's seat, they always burn themselves out. They just torch themselves because they go too far, too fast, and they piss off too many people. I wonder if this is one of those moments we're getting to between everything. Like, I can't escape what the government's doing. Now it's telling companies who they can advertise to or who can they hire. You know, we talked earlier about all the stuff that's going on with, you know, this administration with just this past weekend. You know, let's go put an indictment on Jerome Powell, who strikes me as a guy I'd actually like to sit down with and like, hello.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that Clinton is right and that what we're witnessing is them getting ready to torch themselves, because even the 31% who put this administration in office, I'm not even going to worry about them. I don't think you could change a mind.
No.
But if you're an independent, you tell me right now that this is exactly what you wanted and you're really thrilled with how things are going, right?
No, everyone's hoping for the midterms, right? I hope.
And you saw that article that he gave, the interview to the New York Times, where he was back at the 2020 election. He was very upset that he didn't initiate the National Guard to seize the voting machines.
Yeah, well, that's what the fear is now when you look at him causing all this unnecessary strife in cities with ICE, that he declares some sort of emergency. That's all we need.
I just don't. Tim and I grew up. Hey, look, we had caught my eye about a person who decides to like bring back an old-fashioned phone. That's the stuff I like. whatever this is, and the game, or the predictions from, what was her name, Baba
Vanga.
Baba Vanga. Like, I want the aliens to come and solve this particular problem for us in November, right?
Right, the Nostradamus of the Balkans. But
crazy.
Well, the important part of this is to keep your eyes and ears open and make sure you vote locally too. Vote in all your elections.
Very important. Very important.
So hey, thanks for joining us today here on the Focus Group. We appreciate your time spent with us. Learn all about us at focusgroupradio.com. And you'll also find our podcast there, which is TFG Unbuttoned, which is released on Tuesdays. We hope everybody out there is safe when you're driving, particularly in this winter driving. Remember, don't text and drive, arrive alive. And we'll see you next time here on the Focus Group. Take care.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.